everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fan Experience TV. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 97 of Fan Experience TV. I'm your host, Mike Catos. Alongside me is my co-host, Rick Molina. Rick, a lot to get to. But first up, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It was a great weekend this weekend. We had a lot of great football games. Obviously, the locals did not help the cause. We'll get into that a little later. But, I mean, what can you say, man? It was Kyler Murray lighting it up in Arizona. It was Aaron Rodgers last night chucking the ball over the place. Tom Brady throwing five, like the ageless wonder, throwing, what do you throw, 5 touchdowns, I believe?
Unbelievable. 5 touchdowns, 9 in the first two games of the season. And I think he's got like 17 or something in the last 4 games. Something ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And so, these quarterbacks throwing the ball out. But it was just it was just an incredible game. The Cowboys, we were just talking about that before we came on. The Cowboys pulling out a miracle. And, I want to get to that one because I don't know what Mike McCarthy was thinking in that game. Like, come on, dude.
Management and all that.
And going for a 62-yard field goal there. I mean, if the guy misses that kick, you pretty much sunk your team right there. I mean, you just killed your team right there. I mean, I don't know what was going on there. I mean, he got away with one right there. It was incredible. But last night's game, obviously I also want to touch on the Raiders and the Steelers.
Yes,
because Derek Carr, man, he's coming into his own now. Here's a kid who, John Gruden came in, gave him a hard time, and now he's throwing rockets and touchdowns all over the place. The Raiders are 2-0. So, listen, it was a great weekend of football, man. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better in week 3s and starting in a couple of days. So, can't wait. I mean, it's just great. Football is awesome. It's great.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, your boy Ruggs,
finally showed up.
Lit up the scoreboard, and you won Worst Manager Award in our fantasy league.
Because I didn't start him?
For sitting him. Whatever. Yeah. I sat Michael Pittman. The dude was injured on Friday. They said, he might not play. I sat him. And I lost because, I lost by 12 because of sitting him and Devonta Smith doing nothing, Jalen Waddle doing next to nothing, Tua getting hurt, Dalton got hurt, couple of injuries, Mayfield got hurt and came back in, but Justin Fields is looking to be, the starter of the Bears because of a Dalton injury, and it's just, injuries are showing their ugly head a little bit. Jarvis Landry is on the IR, MCL sprain. Carson Wentz 2 sprained ankles.
Yeah, that was
so.
Rough,
we'll see what happens there, but definitely some very interesting games, some very interesting turn of events. As this week. I mean, first 2 weeks of the season, and we're supposed to get an extra week this year. And if it keeps up like this, it's going to be some. Pretty entertaining, an entertaining little 5-month span of Sundays. And I mean, this is worth the price of admission.
It is.
Just, seeing how everything is playing out right now. Hopefully everyone could stay healthy. We still have, variants of COVID out there, and, everyone just needs to take all the necessary precautions. And speaking of COVID, obviously a big story in the preseason was Cole Beasley, and the Bills are just, everyone couldn't pick that game. Like they looked, inept against the Steelers, and then all of a sudden 35-0. I saw a graphic that the Bills have more wins since 2017 than the Giants and the Jets do combined, and that's pathetic.
Yeah,
I guess it's believable, but it's just it's pathetic for our teams.
Yeah, but I'm glad you brought up that game because I think it's safe to say Tua is not going to be durable in this league. He gets hurt. He's a fragile quarterback. He gets hurt, and the question is, at what point do they make? He's a small guy. At what point do they make the trade for Deshaun Watson? I mean,
that's the thing. Is Watson?
He's out there
bound.
Yeah, I think 100% that's where he wants to go. I think that makes the most sense. And the question is, are the Dolphins willing to pull the trigger on 3 1s, 2 2s, or whatever it is, to make that deal?
Well, all right. It's just we know that there's ongoing legal ramifications going on right now with Watson, but you got Tyrod Taylor He's out he could be out possibly 4 weeks.
Yeah.
They're saying in some reports. They have a game on Thursday. They've already ruled out Deshaun Watson as a healthy scratch, and they have no plans of starting him. So it's like, why just sit him down and ask for a king's ransom for him when you're not helping anybody. You're not helping your team, and you don't give him up for sit there.
Yeah, you don't give him up for nothing either.
You can't give him up for nothing, but maybe lower your asking price just a little bit. Not.
Man, I mean, no, you get what you get the most you can, man. And if that means 3
or you get nothing though, but you could get nothing, right?
But they'll make a deal. I mean, they're not dumb. They're going to make a deal. The question is, are they going to get a deal they like? The Dolphins are the team. They got the picks. I mean, they got the picks and they got the team ready. Like if he finds a way to get on the field, right? If he's not on the commissioner's exempt list and they find a way to make a deal for him, that's a Super Bowl team right there.
Yeah.
So make the deal. You just gotta you gotta be able to. Miami's gotta. At the end of the day, I think they're all Watson's agents. I think the Texans and I think the Dolphins will sit in a room. They will get this. They will straighten this out, and Deshaun Watson will be going to the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. Well, quickly touch on somebody else that plays in the South, just the other conference. Jameis Winston is back.
Oh yeah,
people. Jameis Winston is back.
Yeah. I started
on the other side of that game was Sam Darnold, who looks like he's in where he wants to be. Because they're playing well, 2-0, Carolina Panthers, and they have a game against the Texans this Thursday night, and it's Davis Mills going for the Houston Texans. And down a couple of key players over there as well on the offensive side of the ball are the Houston Texans. And, the Panthers are sitting there rolling with, their full complement of weapons on both sides of the ball. So it looks like a early 3-0 start is where the smart money is for the Carolina Panthers. That's crazy in a very, very packed division there.
Yeah, look, and for all you Jets fans out there who have shit the bed and just completely lost your mind over what happened on Sunday, yes, Zach threw 4 picks. Yes, it looked bad. Calm down. He's played 8 quarters. He's played 2 NFL games. The kid is going to be fine. The talent is there. It's all there. He's just he was playing hero ball. He was trying to show up. I think he was just trying to try too hard. He was playing hero ball, and he threw 4 picks. A couple of them weren't his fault. All right, whatever, be that as it may. But everybody's got to relax about Zach Wilson and stop saying, we should have kept Sam and drafted it. No. Sam Darnold was not going to work here. Sam Darnold is not on Zach Wilson's level. So everybody just calm down. Zach's going to be fine. Look, it's a rebuild. It's going to be a tough season. He's going to have games like this. Zach Wilson's going to be just fine. I have no worries about him. But everybody already cut the guy. He's a bum. He can't play. He stinks. I mean, what are we talking about, man? So it's let's all calm down. Zach's going to be just fine. He's going to have his game. I think he's going to bounce back game this week. I think the game plan is going to be the same, but I think he's just got to learn to, like Salah said, play a little boring football, take what the defense gives you, and then show off that rocket arm and do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be some growing pains. So we're going to have to just deal with it, and he will grow. But we do have a running back that's looking pretty good.
Oh, Michael Carter! I bought his jersey last night. How about that?
Did you?
Oh yeah.
Look at that. But it's good things are on the horizon, people.
Yes.
So we didn't expect to win the Super Bowl this year, and if you did, then I don't know what.
Yeah,
what you were thinking,
or
even make the playoffs.
25,000 to 1.
But the Super Bowl losers last year, went up against the Baltimore Ravens. We will hold off on that a little bit because our guest that we are going to welcome in, he's a big Ravens fan, so we want to get his take on that. But right now, please help us and welcome Chris Adams to the show. Chris, how are you?
Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Well,
doing great. So I mean, let's touch on that real quick before we even get to everything else. That game Sunday night. Talk to us about how you're feeling and how what was going through your mind when things were getting to the end there.
Well, this is like a perfect